The Future of Retail Asia with Jun and Imran, powered by Aimazing.
Welcome back to another episode of the Future of Retail Asia podcast. My name is Imran.
And I'm Jun. Previously, we have the guests from shopping malls, retail, brands, marketing companies. We saw there's some comments saying that they wonder how chambers play a role in this industry. We hear you. So joining us today is Siti Fairuz, the Head of Digital Transformation Officers from Singapore Malay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome.
Hi guys, thanks for having me here.
So Fai has been part of the Singapore Malay Chamber for almost 4 years. She started off as a head of corporate services and then took on the mantle of head of digital transformation office 2 years ago, right before the pandemic hit. What timing, yeah. So her role in the Malay Chamber now is to help digitalize merchants, especially in the Kampong Glam precinct. And before COVID struck, they expanded to businesses outside of Kampong Glam and helping them digitize both on the front end and the back end to allow them to tide through the tough period. Fai, thanks for coming down again. Maybe Jun, you want to start off?
Yes, I think, that's actually like where I want to start with, right? So when the COVID hit the entire market, I think you are just go into this digital transformation office, right? So, and then suddenly the pandemic hit the entire market, lockdown is everywhere. Then I think we saw there's a huge drop from the merchant sales by then, right? When the pandemic hit the market. I think what is your reaction at the first? And very interesting, like how did you feel knowing a lot of merchants that you know and you are supporting as a chamber, then suddenly close down their store or suddenly drop their sales like crazy?
Okay, so I became the head of digital transformation office before the pandemic hit, right? So, we were already working on getting the merchants to digitalize, getting them to adopt digital solution. And then once the COVID hit, and you know that digitalization is the way to go next after the pandemic hit, I think it kind of, I would say blessing in disguise for me, because it kind of like made my job easier in terms of getting them to change their mind into going digital, because they realized that the only way to go next, I think one of the ways to go next after COVID-19 hit is to go digital. And this is especially so for merchants that they're the traditional merchant, where it's a bit hard for us to, change their mind or change their mindset about going e-commerce or using a digital payment, So this kind of, I took this advantage to tell them like, hey, it's a need for you to go digital, especially during this period. It is time for you. Like now is the best time for you to go digital. So that kind of helped in the whole situation. And I think I am quite honored to be the one assisting these members because, these members, they go from traditional brick and mortar stores to going online, and being the one who assists them to do that and seeing them grow in the digital space is, I think, something that makes my work more fulfilling. Yeah.
And so this was like completely unprecedented, right? So you mentioned that a lot of these are traditional businesses. Some of them have been running their businesses for decades the same way.
Yes.
And then, it's something new. I think we all saw it unfold the last 2 years, and is something that no one anticipated, no one had experienced before. So when it first hit, and then the circuit breaker came in, right? Like, what was SMCCI's initial reaction? How do you guys think about getting the intel on the ground and putting together your first formula of response?
Okay, so as a chamber with businesses as members, I think it's important to note that, these businesses most of the businesses are hit, from the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. So what we do is that I think we identify first the industries that are hit the most. So, industries like F&B, wedding and events, tourism, and we put forth plans to ensure that, we provide relevant medium-term support to assist them to get through the challenging times. So one of the ways that SMCCI, did to help businesses, help our members to overcome this challenge is, I think we first set up the COVID-19 response team within the chamber. So this is a go-to resource for members to seek assistance in overcoming the challenges of COVID-19. And I think members can leverage upon the resources from the COVID-19 response team, which includes access to grant, access to government agencies, and access to shared resources to help them overcome the different challenges that they face during COVID-19 period. Yeah.
I remember those times actually because it sounds very nice and very well put together. But I think in those times I remember Pak Farid, who's the president, was endlessly meeting with the government officials, with the press. We were convening meetings, looking at the response, getting surveys out, getting town halls out. We had the chamber staff, we had the SME center staff going down on the ground, is effectively having open office and say anyone got a problem, just come and visit us, go and call us. So I remember that hectic time trying to figure out what to do. So how has it evolved since then, right? So like I think now the pandemic is now more than a year and a half into play, right? So how has that response of an initial we need to put together a committee, or we need to put together an initial response, or we need to figure out what the impact is. How has that evolved into the actual programs that are now in place a year and a half later?
Okay, so initially, like you mentioned, we had a lot of engagement with the businesses. Yeah. So I think first we need to identify what are their pain points exactly. Yeah. Before we come up with a solution for their problems or their challenges that they face. So we have a lot of programs like the discussion at Day One Connect, where we get members' feedback, where we interact with members and ask them what are the challenges they face. And, we even have a member consultation session with our president, Pak Farid, and deputy president, Abu Bakar, where, they can share intimate details on the problems that they face, which they feel that, they might not want to share with the rest during the engagement sessions. So we gather this information that we get from the members, and then we, think about how to create programs to help them overcome these challenges. So I think first, after identifying that pain points of the members, then we kind of come up with different programs. So like right now, I think we have the MBFP program. So this is the Micro Business Foundation program, because we realized that during the pandemic, one of the industry, or rather one of the group that was hit, was also the home-based business. So last year, if you remember, the HBBs, they couldn't operate their HBBs from home. That was in April last year, and I think it caused quite a big,
because of the social distancing delivery regulations
correct.
and all that.
Yeah.
Right?
So we recognize that HBB is also an important part of our business community, where we should see what are the problems that they face. And then, so now we have a program just for HBBs to help them, get their businesses further, improve their businesses further. So I think this is one of the programs that we have for them at the moment.
So it's a lot about understanding the pain points and then identifying where we can come together and work together. You're sharing about HBBs, but I also know that within the chamber context, you have like about half or more than half of the businesses actually being food businesses, or even the retail businesses as well.
Yeah, so I think very interesting, right? When we was interview a lot of like guests before, and then we always believe one thing is like everyone need to come together. And just now we mentioned about like we have the president have a lot of meeting with the government, and then you have a lot of meeting with the merchant to try to figure out, right? I think just very curious, like how a Malay chamber engage with the government, especially, right? And then bring these all party together and then work with a different industry partner to help the SMEs.
Okay, I think as the chamber, we are a important middle person between the businesses and the government, because we have like many businesses on the ground, but everyone can't reach out to the government at the same time, right? So I think we act as that middle person to link that bridge between businesses and the government. So I think we work together with the different with the different government agencies to assist in the reopening of a certain industry. So, like for example, the wedding industry is the one of the biggest hit industry during COVID-19. So we work with the relevant government agency to reopen the wedding industry, where initially there was no wedding to be held at the void deck. Yeah. So we work out a solution for our wedding industry businesses where we open up the wedding industry where they are able to have weddings at the void deck. And what we do as a chamber is that we gather the pain points of the businesses, and then we bring it to the government, and then from the government level they will tell us, okay, if you want to open, it's fine, but we need the businesses to do a certain requirement, like for example the SMM. They need to be 50 per zone and all that thing. So what we did was we had like a training session for the wedding industry businesses where we set up the whole wedding setup at Landmark Hotel and invite all our wedding businesses, wedding members to come and explain to them, okay, if this is how it should be, you need to place the entrance here, the entrance need to be separate from the exit, like really very deep dive and very
it was very specific, about
yes,
the measures,
correct.
right? Actually, this is a very important point, right? Because individually, a wedding operator would never be able to get Enterprise Singapore, for example, to say, okay, I open up for you. But this is a very unique position that the Malay Chamber or any of the associations could actually have, right? Because you actually have the ear of the government as well as the collective inputs of the industry. So I think that is very interesting to actually be able to enforce or actually be able to influence how policies are made or how government assistance is rendered. I think we'll probably touch those on those topics again with regards to things like digitization and precincts later. But I thought this cannot go understated or unnoticed, right? Because this is a very important function of the chamber, as far as I know.
Yes. I agree, because we are assisting the businesses to open up, so that they can continue their business. So I feel that these are important steps that we take to get them there, because I think if, like you mentioned, if let's say the businesses go direct to the government, they are not going to say, okay, we're going to open up for you. But if we have steps in place, measures in place, and we make sure that these businesses actually do follow them, and they have proper SMM in place, I think then that's where everyone can work together to open up the industry, to open up the economy.
And the coming together is not just the merchants as well as the government. I think we're also talking about some of the bigger players, right? Your corporations like the banks or even like the big tech players. From what I know, the chamber has been working in the last couple of years very tirelessly with partners like your Shopee, Bunkos, Grab, Shopback, Gojek. I think these are just a few off the top of my hand that you guys have directly worked partnerships with and even helped the merchants list on. So how could we all work together, right? So let's say before we go into some of those specific programs, but let's say on a program basis, how could government, these bigger companies, and then the SMEs work in tandem better together?
Okay, I think the government is trying to help the businesses as well. They're trying to assist the businesses, but they do not have direct interaction or direct connection to the businesses, and that's where the chamber comes in, right? So, and we, the chamber, we are on the ground. We know how the businesses work and what would work best for them, or what are their pain points they're facing. So I think that between the government, the chamber, and the businesses, and also the different tech partners, the banks, like I mentioned, the banks or the different tech companies, we are also working with them. So how we should bring them all together is that, as a chamber, since we know what are the different requirements that these different stakeholders want to achieve, we come up with a specific solution that can benefit everyone. You see, so the government, they want the businesses to thrive and to sustain during this period. And then the businesses also, they want to increase their sales to gather more customer base. And these industry players, I think what they want is also to, reach out to more people to using their solution, So I think what we do is that we come up with specific campaign or program that can bridge all these three players together, which will benefit every one of them.
And it creates a win-win-win because it would make sense for Grab to work with a partner or a player like, let's say, FairPrice. But it wouldn't make sense for Grab to talk to 100 mini-marts directly one by one, right? So I think that's where I think a very important role again.
Yes. I think can't agree more. It's got a lot of people will forget, right? That's how important for like example just now mentioned the chamber as a bridge, right? So they really like last mile is always the most difficult part, right? So the tech solution company try to help the merchant, government try to help the merchant, but like just like Imran mentioned, right, it's easy for help them to solve or help them to work with a corporate, right? But it's very hard for them to work with really like fragmented like individual merchant one by one. So I think there's a very big campaign last year. It's the Kampong Glam, right? Everybody saw on the news. It's like government and then a lot of tech party is trying to work together. And then actually it's through the Singapore Malay Chamber to this program. So can you share a little bit more on about this program?
Okay, so last year we worked with Shopback to come up with a campaign at Kampong Glam. So it's called the Go Makan at Kampong Glam campaign, where we have customers who accumulate like a certain amount spent at specific Kampong Glam merchant who participated in this campaign during the promotional period, where they stand a chance to win something, So this entice the customers to use the platform, which is Shopback, and it increases the visibility of the merchant as well. So I think it's not just benefiting one party, but it also benefits the merchant, the tech partner, which is Shopback, and also the customers because
not bad lah, get cashback.
Yeah,
not bad.
yeah.
Also can get
Yeah, that's right,
a chance
exactly.
to win something.
Yeah.
Not bad
Yeah.
lah, right? Yeah.
And also we are trying to get we're trying to increase the visibility of this merchant through the Shopback platform. So with this, right, when they are shopping like online, when they go to the app and see, okay, I didn't know that this shop exists, but then now they know. So it kind of like increase the visibility and awareness lah. And this is what we want, and this is done through a digital platform. So with the use of technology, with the use of digital solution, you can reach that so-called marketing for the businesses. And for businesses also, it will entice them to get on board Shopback on this digital platform to get their sales up, because when more people know about their shop, people will be going there to spend. And this is what they want, because they want to increase the footfall. I think that was the one of the main aim of this whole campaign, because they want to increase the footfall at Kampong Glam. So but this was campaign before the pandemic. And so we're trying to get more people to not just spend at Kampong Glam, but we want them to spend longer time at Kampong Glam area, at the Kampong Glam precinct. And because so the campaign is actually if they spend across multiple merchant,
Right.
So it's not just one merchant, so we are increasing the visibility of more merchant and I think this is the first precinct level campaign that a chamber has done with a tech partner. And I think it was quite a successful campaign. I think overall, they reached more than close to 2,000 accounts on Shopback platform. And I think the amount spent accumulated during the campaign also increased than the usual previous months. Yeah.
One thing that was quite interesting also is that we always look within the retail ecosystems that we work with around things like the cross-selling, the shopper journey, and extending the customer spend, right? Because we're not talking about just spending in one store in multiple stores as well.
I think this is also a very interesting campaign to change a lot of people's mindset, right? Because traditional businesses, when especially at the same area, they were thought like the store beside me is my competitor. But I think through this actually unlocked everybody say we should work together, right?
Yeah.
Although we are at the same area, we need to work together. And then like I mentioned, we actually try to bring the footfall into this area. And then we try to create some campaign. You go to shop A and shop, and you go to shop D and shop, right? So another campaign actually came to my mind is the Ramadan online puzzle, right?
Oh my God, we haven't had that. This is something. That's
Yeah.
one big thing that we've missed.
Yes. So I think like maybe you can share with us like more on like that kind of campaign, like what kind of data.
Okay, so that campaign we did this year during the Ramadan period, because as you know, last year we didn't have the Ramadan bazaar, and then this year there's no physical bazaar again. But we don't want to like let down the spirits of Singaporeans who celebrate Hari Raya. We want to tell them like, hey, doesn't mean that there's no physical bazaar. There's no Hari Raya mood lah. So I think that's one of the reasons why we want to do this, and also to assist members and businesses who was affected, because some of these businesses, they only operate during the Ramadan period at the Pasar Malam, at the Ramadan Bazaar lah. So we give them a platform for these businesses to continue the Ramadan Bazaar, which they like had done for the past like 5-10 years, but doing it online. And also I feel it's a step to making it a yearly thing lah, because since we don't know how long that this is gonna be, I think then it's good for us to start somewhere to get all this bazaar merchant online, and they can continue it. We kind of like kickstart it first for them, and then after this they realize, oh, you know what, I think it's good, I'm getting the good response.
A very key success factor that I saw was that they were actually listed on the app, for example, Grab or Shopee,
Yes.
as a tab by themselves,
Yeah.
right, on the homepage.
Yeah, so for this campaign, we work with GrabMart, Shopee, and Bungkus for different types of products lah. So for GrabMart, it's for groceries and mart. For Shopee, it's more on the retail side, and for Bungkus is for hot food, the F&Bs lah. So and what is very, I would say, special is that I would say it's also one of a kind campaign that we did with tech giants like Shopee and Grab, where they actually gave us a dedicated tile on their app, because I think I would say that almost everyone has a Grab app.
Expensive
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah. Grab app on their phone, Shopee app on their phone. So when they open the app, they can actually see Bazaar Kita on the platform. So it brings us to a like national level kind of campaign, and I think same like the shop app, it also increases the visibility of the merchant who join this campaign, because that's what we are aiming for also.
So in terms of bottom line, what was the impact?
We managed during the 2 months campaign period. I think we managed to, the total sales during the 2 months is more than 600,000.
And this is involving how many merchants?
There's about 120, 130 merchants altogether.
So that means from zero onboarding 130 merchants, and then within the Ramadan Bazaar fully online for the first time, getting 600k sales for 2 months, which is amazing actually.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that has ever been done before.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised with the results also because like you mentioned, we never had something like this before. Yeah. So we really don't know like, okay, are we doing this right? Are we doing this wrong? So it's like we will try our best to see what's the best approach to this, and I would say that it worked because we assisted more than 120 merchants to go online, and we also bring up this campaign festive feelings for everyone, and I guess it's a win-win for all. Yeah.
But so very interesting. I think thanks for the audience, because previously when we was inviting like shopping mall management, like the marketing, we always focus at the merchant inside the shopping mall, right? But I think in this case, like everyone is very curious about how a chamber can help during the pandemic, and then we have a chance to talk to the city so here, right? So and then we realized that actually for Kampong Glam it's a shopping mall, right? It's like there's a 600 plus merchant inside this area, and then if you are able to unlock the data, if you are able to using this, and we mentioned about like actually we run the campaign, and then the campaign already show them that like when they are not fight each other and then work together and they bring some of the tech vendor in, and then that really get the result, right? I think that is what I think is very, very interesting.
Yeah, so I think he mentioned a very few good points, right? One is that Kampong Glam has 600 merchants. I think if let's say you look at all the other precincts that let's say the Malay Chamber alone has influence over, including your Juchat and Katong and all the other places as well. I think there's many opportunities there, right? We are talking about also like, how do we aggregate together and actually influence and work with government agencies, influence and work with partners and increase sales. So let's talk about, let's say, your wish list, right? So if you're looking at Kampong Glam, for example, as a precinct, if you want to really enable them digitally as a digital precinct, what do you think are your wish list or your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you'd like to be able to do with the merchants at the end of the day?
Okay. I think for precinct like Kampong Glam, I think one important key aspect that the chamber would need, or rather would best to have to help us assist in creating a program or platform for them is, I think, data. Things like the shop at Kampong Glam, they are mostly I would say maybe half is like traditional shops, selling the cloth, selling carpets, where they might not be online. So there are certain data that we are not able to get from them. Yeah. So, if we are able to get certain data, which will help us in curating a certain platform, which would best be for them, like, specific to their type of business, then, it will not just benefit the chamber, but also the businesses.
For example, if I'm a restaurant and I'm in Kampong Glam, I know how I'm performing as a restaurant, let's say, versus other restaurants in the area, right? So that I know my own performance and kind of can take a look at, is it my overheads, is it my marketing, should I be thinking of working more with the chamber or with Grab or Shopee as a partner, and look at ways to improve my business with decisions. And the other part was that I think you talk about a lot of them are very traditional business, right? And I think some of them, for example, may not even have updated POS system, for example, right? Which is one of the things that the chamber does help provide in terms of pre-approved solutions. What other steps is the chamber taking on now to help the merchants on a very practical level take the next step in digitizing?
Okay. I think for this specific type of merchants, who are the more traditional merchants and businesses, I think the key is simplicity. So what we need to do is that, we have to introduce them to the simple digital solution first, the low-hanging fruits like digital payment, rather than getting them to start off with something very huge and that will kind of throw them off. So what we do at Digital Transformation Office at the chamber is we'll recommend simple digital tools, especially for traditional merchant who still are using, they're not using any e-payments. So it's like, okay, why not we start off first by using something simple like e-payment. And then from there, they will realize oh, actually it's not so bad. I don't have to use so many gadgets or whatever, it's still okay. And then from there, they will start to be open to other bigger tech solution or technology. So I think that's what we are trying to achieve, getting them to start off simple and start off small before growing bigger in their digital transformation of their business.
And it certainly has been forced the last 2 years with the COVID and social distancing, and even the government putting in things like the unified pay now and QR code. to make it easier for merchants to onboard. I think from our side as Aimazing, we'd be very interested to work with people like the Chamber and Kampong Glam and the various precincts all over the world actually to look at, hey, how can we digitize the whole precinct? How can we put together the data insights and be the first to be able to share these insights or work with the government and saying, hey, when COVID hits or when lockdowns happen, we are affected by X% sales in real time, right? I think these are things that previously wasn't available in terms of data. I think we are kind of like at the end of the interview. We have a couple of takeaway questions that we hope that you can share with the audience. The first would be, what would be your advice to businesses that are listening in today, right? So that any of the retail or food businesses listening today, what would be your one piece of advice for them?
I think now seeing how the industry have evolved, ever since the pandemic started, right, is to focus on experience different things, or like rather have a mix of different kind of solution to reach out to your customer base. I would definitely say as the one advocating digitalization, that would be one way that you should put on efforts to increasing your digital capabilities, adopting digital solution, because I think it's not just a solution that is short term, but it will help you in the long term, because I think that's where the world is going on to the next. Yeah.
And our last question, do you think that the physical retail can still be the king?
I think the physical retail can continue to be relevant, but the format would change, or rather would continue to evolve. I don't think that we will totally forget about physical retail, because there are certain types of products that people would rather go down to a physical shop for the look and feel, the touch. And I think these are still important aspects of physical retail. But I think, additionally, what they should do is that also be present on the digital space, because even if certain products where it's not like so-called, it's not very easy to sell online, like for example clothing, where people would need to touch the cloth or the carpets and things like that. But you can still use digital solution to market your shop, to increase the visibility of your shop, to increase your brand name awareness. And these are the things that I would say work hand in hand, digitalization, and also at the same time continue to focus on your physical retail stores.
One thing for sure is it's a very exciting time to evolve this retail experience together as an ecosystem. So with that, we've come to the end of today's episode. Thanks again, Fai, for coming down and sharing your thoughts with us today. If you have any questions regarding the Malay Chamber, digitization of the businesses, the programs that they run, please feel free to write into the show or ask questions, and we'll be sure to let Fai and her team know. We can be found on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and with that, stay tuned for the next episode. See you.
How will retail change post-pandemic? Download the Future of Retail white paper from our website, aimazing.co.